PELADN wanted me to check out their hoe. Today we're checking out PELADN's hoe. This is the PELADN HO5 mini PC, and it sure is an interesting little hoe. Yeah, I went there. It's a nice looker even if it is all plastic, and it's one of the few minis with RGB that I don't mind too much as it's not very bright. You can change the lighting mode or turn it off just by touching the hoe. Kinky. PELADN's hoe is packing AMD's Ryzen HX370, a powerful mobile chip that overall comfortably beats anything from Intel in the same generation, thanks to plenty of fast cores and superior integrated graphics. Although, you're definitely paying for the performance. With the HO5 coming in at $890 for the 1TB SSD, 32GB RAM configuration on Amazon.com. However, PELADN has provided a coupon which brings it down to $819. With current component prices, it's pretty competitive. So what's included with this hoe? Well, some papers. She's gotta get through customs. There's a mount, screws, thermal pad, reasonably compact 120W power supply, HDMI and power cable. Everything a hoe needs. On the front is a power button, dual USB-A 10GB, USB 4 40GB supporting power delivery and display, 3.5mm audio jack, and clear CMOS. The side has an OCulink port, while inside is a MediaTek Wi-Fi 7 for wireless and Bluetooth. On the rear of the hoe, you'll find dual Realtek 2.5GB LAN, DisplayPort, HDMI, and dual USB 2. What I love about this hoe is that it's easier to get inside her. Yeah baby, easy access. Just what you want from a hoe. Underneath the top lid, you can see how the RGB light connects without a cable, and that there's a heatsink for the SSDs. Below the 1TB Crucial Gen 4 SSD is the Wi-Fi 7 card, and PELADN has opted to outfit their hoe with fast LPDDR5X running at 7500 megatransfers, so it's soldered and not upgradable or replaceable. Easy come, easy hoe. Microslop Windows 11 Pro is included, and after some tests, I found this hoe to be STD free. Ubuntu also worked fine. If I could come up with a good joke about a hoe and a penguin that wouldn't get me banned off YouTube, I'd use it. But let's just move on. Alrighty then, let's see how the hoe compares to others on the market. Cinebench single core comes back with a score of almost 2000, which is up there with the fastest chips we've tested for some snappy Windows performance. In multi-core, it gets second place with the out-of-box result, and increasing the power limit didn't do anything. So the Ace Magic F5A is the clear winner here. In Geekbench single core, the hoe is also a few percent behind the F5A, but still a good result. Multi-core is interesting as Geekbench benefits from fast RAM. Here PELADN's hoe takes the top AMD spot. Not so in the short H.264 video encoding test though, where it almost matches the F5A at default. In the longer AV1 encoding test, it falls further behind and indicates cooling isn't as good as with the F5A. The same can be seen with the AV1 hardware encoding test, which offloads some of the workload to the iGPU. Moving on to the AI CPU test. The hoe's HX370 is near the top, although falls behind the F5A. Same workload using the iGPU puts the hoe up in first place. Damn, that's a fine hoe. You can see the difference the faster memory makes in 3D Mark against the F5A's DDR5 SODIMM. In Firestrike, there's a 7% improvement, 4% in TimeSpy, and around 4.5% in Steel Nomad Lite. These aren't huge gains, but it's something. So overall, she's a fairly fast hoe. Before we have a look at some games, I noticed Secure Boot was missing in the BIOS, which makes no sense for any PC in the last 5 years. So I reached out to PELADN, they sent me a BIOS update, and I tested Valorant, which requires it. And as you can see, it worked fine. We've looked at the Radeon 890M iGPU many times now. Most esports titles at 1080p will get high frame rates. AAA games are hit and miss depending on how new they are. Emulators run fine at 1080p. You might get away with some PS3 games at 1440p depending on their GPU requirements. Options for an eGPU are USB 4 and OCulink, and normally I'd show them side by side, but I couldn't get USB 4 to work. I got as far as the driver to install, and then the mini PC crashed. OCulink works fine. Coding performance is very good, with this HO winning with out-of-box performance. Same with Adobe Photoshop, although the F5A beats it when performance mode is enabled. The HO is also top-notch at video production, as you'd hope. There's an above-average SSD included, and the cooling does a very basic job. Plastic just doesn't dissipate heat very well, but it is better than nothing, and managed to keep the SSD under thermal throttling temp. Bluetooth range is above average at 6.5 meters or 21 feet using a Bluetooth speaker, testing for uninterrupted music playback. Wi-Fi range was also fine with no issues at 12 meters or 39 feet from the router using the 5G band. To my surprise, this HO draws little power when idle, just 7 watts. And it also draws less power when maxed out. Typically, we'd see 100 watts from the wall for this type of chip. However, CPU temp is pretty high under load, which does result in thermal throttling. And fan noise, while not terrible, is above average under load. The volume chart shows how the HO compares in size to others on the market. The delete key will get into the BIOS. AC power loss and wake on LAN can be found in the first few options. Setting system configuration to 65 watts made no difference. In AMD CBS UMC common options, you can overclock the LPDDR5X RAM to 8000 megatransfers, which has previously added a few percent to the GPU benchmarks. However, I saw slightly worse results with this HO in 3D Mark, even with Windows confirming it was running at 8000 megatransfers. In NBIO common options, GFX configuration, you can set the VRAM limit, which is a bit low at 2GB by default. Alright, mini PC checklist time. PELADN's HO5 is pretty well priced in the current market, and while it does have a USB 4 port, I couldn't get it working with my eGPU. This isn't the first time. Still, if you're buying this, you should be using OCulink for a much better experience. It's super easy to open, and you're getting the maximum official supported speed thanks to the fast LPDDR5X RAM. But unfortunately, it's not upgradable or replaceable. Although, I don't see anyone doing that in the current market anyway, so maybe a moot point. Overall performance is good, but I'm not too impressed by the CPU cooling. I'll be generous to this HO and give SSD and RAM cooling a pass. Bluetooth and Wi-Fi are fine. Load fan noise on the other hand isn't great. And while I received a BIOS update, these aren't easily accessible on a download page, so I wouldn't expect any others. I couldn't find a driver page either. PELADN includes a standard 1-year warranty, unless you're in the EU, where you get 2 years. Lucky you. There's a lot to like about this HO, but I'd say the CPU cooling is a weak point. The high fan noise for the temp is not what I've come to expect with the vast majority of minis I look at. Overall, not bad. I do like how they handle the RGB lighting, and the price is attractive. So this one's a bit of a mixed bag. Anyway, affiliate links and coupon are in the video description if interested. They help the channel out at no cost to you. Recently, I did a review of the PELADN Wo4, which was a favorite of mine. Unfortunately, pricing has changed, but you can check out that review right here. Cheers. Oh look, this HO is beyond the gamers.